Welcome back to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Mary Louise Van Atta.
We have Sam Skillern here with us
I know,
today
I'm so
with
happy
the
about that.
Salem Leadership Foundation. We're going to learn all about the Salem Leadership Foundation, and we have the original changemaker with us right now. Sam, thank you for joining us
well,
today.
it's an honor and a joy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So tell us about Salem Leadership Foundation. You've been over for how long?
21 years, and so I guess the first thing to get out on the table is I didn't start the organization. I was privileged to be the first hire back in 1996, but really it was a group of people from churches and educators and business people, civic leaders. They had gathered already for about 2 years, wanting to find ways to create the opportunity for people of faith and people of goodwill to work together. The Leadership Foundation was formed based on a national model. We're totally owned in Salem and governed in Salem, and we're a Salem-Keizer organization, but we're a template. We were based on a template from some other cities that's our job. We help build bridges within the church community and then build bridges between the church community and the larger community. Bottom line, for healthier kids, families, and neighborhoods.
Every time I see you speaking, you always say, what's your neighborhood?
What's your neighborhood?
What's your neighborhood? And I love that question because a lot of people don't know their neighbors anymore, and they don't know their neighborhood.
Exactly, and things have gotten so big, and even with technology which has shrunk the world, isolation is actually greater than it used to be. And so what can we do? Proximity. We live, work, or worship in a neighborhood, so we have this great community called Salem-Keizer, but those smaller geographies is where people actually have interaction, and it's where the needs are, and it's also where the assets are. So in the old days, we used to ask everybody to come down to the hardest hit neighborhoods, but then we realized, my gosh, every neighborhood has assets and needs. How can we just blend those together? And so whether it's a relatively healthy neighborhood, a Midland neighborhood, or a high needs neighborhood like the one I live in, they all have assets, they all have needs, and the people who live there can get her done if church, business, school, nonprofit, agency, everyday average person comes together. And that's part of what we do, is provide some intersections where those different stakeholders can come together. We don't run our own programs. We're kind of a consultant that runs around the community with a person in each of the 6 high school feeder areas.
Lightning rods, right?
Lightning rods.
Yeah.
We're available. We don't own anything or boss anybody around, but we're just available with ideas and connections and problem solving. And so we organize churches as neighborhood centers.
So that's the CAN Center.
That's the CAN Centers program.
People talking about.
Churches serving as neighborhood centers, so opening up their hearts and their buildings to the neighborhood around them for all kinds of programs, after-school programs, literacy, nutrition,
basketball,
food, sports, soccer,
and
foster family supports, homeless outreach, addiction recovery. I mean, whatever the church feels called to do, we'll help them get her done. So we have a lot of fun. It's a pretty fun job.
And I really like the fact that you're working with the Salem-Keizer Education Foundation programs called the after-school program called the Enrichment Academy. Chess. You play chess with kids.
Well, it's kind of, SCEF and SLF kind of go together. Not many people know the story, but back in 1996, Grant School was innovating all kinds of things: dual language immersion, early release, and after-school programs in the elementary schools. And so Salem Leadership Foundation, Grant School, and some other partners started Fantastic Fridays, and then that grew. And then Bush, Richmond, Grant, and Highland all had after-school programs. And then it started to grow, but see, again, we're not a program provider, so it was beginning to outgrow our ability, because we were running the programs with the school district, and so we kind of stepped back, and that's where SCEF came in, having done the Awesome 3000 for all those years, but morphing into a larger, more robust organization, and they were the perfect group to take on after-school programming at most of our schools. And so I'm still a volunteer. Jennifer and I are still volunteering. We were there those first days in '96 when we were running the program, and we're still there today, 21 years later. I'm still reading at Highland with kids on Thursday mornings, because that's how much we want to model. Even though we're not direct service providers, each of us, there's about 10 of us on staff. We all contribute and immerse ourselves and give back in the neighborhoods where we live. So Grant School and Highland School, Parish and North, are big time for me. And the chess club is a lot of fun, because chess is a great mind strengthener. Kids love to play games, but in a world where the games have gotten so violent and vivid, you know, chess is still a very competitive, historical, combative game. It's face-to-face, one-on-one, nothing against, but you know.
I can't stand it. Let's go there.
Okay, do we get to see?
Oh, that'd be great.
Get to see. Let's go see.
All right.
Take a look.
Let's take a look at the screen over here and see what's going on.
We'll do it once we get into the game. All right, you guys all ready to play chess? Yeah! right, let's do it. Who's the most powerful player on the board?
Everyone.
Queen. Why?
It's the pawn, because she can move everywhere.
She can go everywhere, in any direction, as many
Nobody
spaces as she
survives.
wants. You know, what's great about chess is it's an ancient game with strategy and conflict and history and math. And you know, it's a tactile game where the kids are actually using their hands, not just a virtual game. It is a game of conflict and combat, but it's not all blood and gore. I mean, it's just an elegant, historical game. It wires the brain to think strategically. It enhances what the students are learning in their academics. It's an opportunity for kids to learn how to win and lose, to win with humility and lose with dignity.
Check.
Check. So what is that? If you can't capture, block, or escape, what is it?
Checkmate.
Checkmate.
Sideways.
I was very fortunate to prevail over such a worthy opponent. Great game.
We've been doing it for about 20 years, starting with a little program called Fantastic Fridays. And my wife Jennifer and I have been volunteering here all that time. Our boys grew up here and are graduated and off in Seattle now, but our lives and our community service are deep here at Grant Community School.
Boy, that takes a lot of
That looks
concentration.
fun.
It's fun.
It looks fun and challenging. So
Oh, we're exhausted when we're done.
I know.
I'll
But
bet.
it's that happy exhaustion of having done a good thing, hanging out with some great kids, and but we're definitely pooped.
And you might even be training tomorrow's leaders as a result.
Oh, we have a volunteer who wasn't in the shot, but who is a former Grant School kid who was in the chess club and is now a Grant dad.
Oh, I
And
love
so,
it. I love
he
it.
works at the state, so figuring out his work schedule. That's one of the things we're working on, is more and more employers that would give release time for folks to volunteer in the community. I know there's some, but we need about 100-fold what we have going there.
So if you are a business or a church or a community organization, neighborhood association, how do they
Or
get
a
in touch with
person?
you? Or a person, how do we get
Well,
in
we're
touch
easy
with
to get a hold of. Our website is www.salemlf.org.
Okay.
So that's shorthand for Salem Leadership Foundation, salemlf.org. Our office phone number is 503-315-8924.
Excellent.
And we keep it simple with the emails. It's just each of our first names. So Sam at salemlf.org.
Wonderful.
I'd be happy to take your email. And there's a number of ways that we wouldn't really bring you to the office and show you what we do, because what we do is out and about. So we have a fancy field trip, or we also call it the fancy bus tour, where we actually get a bus and we go around either downtown or one of the 6 high school feeder areas. And either I or one of our team would be on the bus and kind of explain a little history, a little, here's what's challenging, here's what's working. It's pretty
super
interesting.
for new people in town, people have been around,
Even old-timers
real
would really
estate
enjoy it,
agents,
yep.
all that stuff.
We
is
get high
amazing.
marks on the fancy bus tour, just
Okay.
as a very interesting 90 minutes to learn about the city, to learn about the neighborhoods. Every year we have our Fancy Friday. We have a lunch and a dessert. This year it'll be June 1st. And I'm not mentioning it because I want everyone to come and give. We celebrate the stories of what others are doing. We celebrate the stories of what others are doing. So come join us for that, and or just come by, call anytime, and we'll take you out. There's always something good going on in the neighborhoods. Then we'd love to show it off.
Great, thanks,
Oh,
Sam.
Sam,
Loved
thank
having
you
you.
so much for being our guest.
Will you come
on
back and tell
Insight
us
Day,
more
would
later?
you?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'd love to.
That'd be great.
And thank you for joining us today on Insight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Mary Louise Vanata, and we'll see you next time.